If you are wanting to make a feature film using emerging AI tools, and like me, you have a story in your head, either a finished screenplay or one that you're working on, and you'd love to see it turned into a movie one day, then this video is a great starting point. I'm going to be talking about how to make your demo movie. Now, everybody knows what a demo tape is in music. You can get your head around that. A demo movie is basically the same thing, making a movie that is as close to the real watchable version as you can using emerging AI tools and other synthetic film production tools. I'm also going to be talking about how to create a premise trailer. Basically, it's the same process, but a premise trailer is where you don't go to the extent of creating the whole demo movie, but just like something that says this is the premise, and it's enough to help sell the project. It's enough to get somebody to want to read the script. It's enough to get somebody to go, oh, I want to watch that movie. That's the goal. And by the way, if your story, if you can't get people to go, oh, I want to watch that just from the premise, then you have a real problem and you may need to rethink the entire movie. So a premise trailer is not a bad thing to do in the very early stages of developing a movie anyway. Now, if you are anything like me, I wrote a screenplay over a period of 10 years and I laughed and I cried while I wrote it. I love this thing and I'm desperate to see it. I didn't write it to read it. I wrote it to watch it. So I'm going to talk to you about how to create a demo movie using AI tools. I'm going to talk about my workflow. I'm going to talk about what a demo movie is. I'm going to talk about why you should make one, who you should be making your demo movie for, and then of course how to make it, and finally when you should make your demo movie and your premise trailer. Okay, I'll cut to the chase. That one's easy. Now, start now. Okay, that's that one over with. So why are we making one? I've been on this journey now for more than a year. It was about a year ago that I decided to go all in with creating YouTube videos about my quest to turn my screenplay into a watchable movie using emerging AI tools. In this last year, I've had an amazing time discovering all kinds of phenomenal things about all kinds of generative AI tools, but I haven't moved my project forwards. I'm no further forwards really than I was a year ago, and that's a real problem. So recently I've been going through a lot of soul searching and, well, not soul searching, but refocusing of the channel. I've realized that I am never going to get this movie made if I keep reviewing other people's tools. So now that we've had enough time to see where AI tools are going, I've realized it's time to just settle on a handful of tools, develop a workflow, get to work, and turn this thing into a demo movie that is at least watchable enough to get the idea across. Let me show you why this is important. First, I want to talk about how film production works at the moment. You need to get your head around this first. And it's not complicated, it's well established. It starts with a screenwriter and you are the one who just kind of creates the screenplay. Then you would sell that to a studio or a producer, and the combination of studio, producer, director and other creatives, they get together. They're the people who are going to make the movie. Once you have sold it to them, it's out of your hands and you have little to do with it unless they invite you on as a consultant, or if you are actually the producer or the director and you have written the script, in which case different kettle of fish entirely. But let's assume it's that scenario where you've written it and now it goes into the hands of somebody you've sold it to. Well, the people who make all of the other decisions, so things like set design, character design, costume design, props design, camera direction, the whole mood and tone of the thing, the music and the audio, all of these kind of things, all those decisions are made by other people out of your hands. Now, here's the problem. Again, when I wrote this, I visualized it as I wrote it. It wasn't just words on a page. This was a rich imagination, and I had to take my imagination and what I was seeing in my head and scrape it down and get it written onto a page. Well, if you're anything like me, your creativity didn't end with the story. You've got all kinds of, you've seen this thing. Well, these guys get to kind of take over, and your movie is unlikely to be the movie that you imagined and visualized. If you're okay with that, then that's fine. But if you want to actually see the whole thing finished the way you wanted to create it, then AI is an exciting opportunity. But this is how it's all looking at the moment. The new way that movies are going to be made using emerging AI tools and other synthetic video production techniques. This is exciting because it means that you, the writer, you get to make all these decisions. Let's show you what it's going to start looking like with AI film production. And by the way, this is what I gleaned from Tom Paton. the writer and director of Where the Robots Grow. If you haven't seen the interviews I had with him, go back, I'll link them at the end. And he wrote and directed Where the Robots Grow. It's a full-featured 90-minute animated AI-driven feature film that was released just a few weeks ago on YouTube. You can watch that. I'll link that in the description below as well. It's phenomenal. When I met with him, I learned a lot about where the industry is going. He has a team of 9 people, a studio that he works with, and I saw the future of where AI film production is going to go. I thought it would be just one person and a laptop to be able to create this thing. It's not how it's going to be. We are looking at a scenario still where in order to get a really decent feature film made, even using AI tools, you're still going to need a team. Tom is happy that 9 people is about the perfect size for that size team. Way smaller than the size of team that you would get for something like Toy Story or any of the other big blockbusters. If you go look at the names on the end of any of those animated movies, it goes on and on and on. Well, it took them 90 days, 9 of them, to create an animated feature film. So you can kind of see where it's going. And Animation Studios, at the moment, they are creating more animated stuff, but they've got some live action stuff in the pipeline as well. And so it's likely that if ever I am going to see this turned into something watchable, it's going to be made by a company like Animation Studios. May not be Tom and his team, it may be a different team, but it'll still be a micro team. So this is where the screenwriter doesn't have just the opportunity, but almost the responsibility to take care of all of this stuff up here, the set design, character design, costume design, props design, all the stuff that I was imagining in my head now becomes my job to present that. So when I go to the studio, I'm not just taking a script, but I'm taking the premise trailer to kind of help them get their heads around that. And I'm also taking a demo movie, which has as much of the other rich visuals and audio and everything else about it that I imagined, so that when it goes to them, they make as few decisions as possible. They actually don't want to make lots of decisions. If those decisions have been made and one creator has made them, then they can make that movie much, much quicker and much cheaper, and everybody can start making money quicker. That's the goal, by the way. So this scenario here, where the script and the premise trailer and the demo movie is my responsibility, and eventually all that goes to an AI micro studio, a team of 9 people. That's what this is about. So let me show you my pipeline, my workflow. And by the way, the word synthetic is a really useful one. Tom Paton, again, I picked this up from him. It's basically filmmaking techniques that are not organic. So AI obviously fits that category, but so does CGI, so does traditional hand-drawn animation, so does stop-motion animation, so do video game tools, and anything else that comes into the market that allows you to bring your vision to life in any way that isn't kind of human and organic. So this is my workflow. Let me show you and zoom in, and I will talk another time more about how this starts. My chosen tools of choice, by the way, at the moment, I've written my script, so I don't need to use these anymore at the moment, but for the next project I will. Plot control, I use that for almost the entire duration of writing this. It's phenomenal. A guy called Mitchell German put this together. It's not AI driven, although he is embracing AI, so the next version is going to be cool, and he's already doing some cool stuff with that. Plot control, brilliant way to take your ideas and help you to structure them so that you are really putting together a full-figured story to help you to make sure everything that should be in there is in there, that all the juicy bits are there and it all ties together properly. Story work I recently reviewed, another great tool, which is like having a screenwriting coach over your shoulder to help you to kind of take what's in your head and tease it into the beginnings of something. If I was doing anything, what I'd actually do is I'd start with story work, then from that I would then go into plot control, and then I would take my finished script. I don't think I would do this again without a finished script, because you'll end up doubling up effort if you dive straight in with the AI and the image generation with an unfinished script, because you'll end up redoing the script and redoing the script and redoing the script. It's a little bit like starting to decorate a house that you haven't finished laying the foundations for. Next, assuming you've got a script, but you can use this to develop a story. Assuming you've got your script, Mood board comes next. And mood board is where you begin to put together all of the colors, the characters, the costumes, the props, the locations, the vehicles, the visual effects. All this stuff matters. Like if I were to show, I'll put them on the screen here. If I were to show you two shots here, who are they? Well, they're both Harrison Ford, but one is Han Solo and the other one is most definitely Indiana Jones. Costumes matter, and it's your privilege and your opportunity to be that creator who takes this and really brings your imagination to life. It's exciting. So the mood board, there are lots of different tools you can use for that. Freeform comes free with every Mac. There's basically all kinds of tools. I've got 3 on there that I use. Trello. Let's show you what Trello looks like. Trello's great because you've got pictures that you can then add lots of notes and links and all kinds of other things with that image. It's also good for a reference library, which we're going to come on to. I tell you what I actually prefer, if I'm honest, the biggest mood board source I have ended up using. Pinterest, if you haven't discovered it, is just a source of such inspiration when you're trying to hone down a look and feel. So here's a lot of images from across the internet that I've saved them in my CWB, Captain Wishybloke. That's my actual movie name, by the way. This is being renamed back to the original name, Captain Wishybloke. Why? Because Telepathy Sucks wasn't the title for me, it was the title for a different audience. And if I write this for a different audience, I'll never do a good job. So I'm going to go moving away from the pink back to the color schemes that I originally had in mind when I wrote the movie that I most wanted to watch. I'm going to stick with that and create the movie that I most want to watch because I can. So these are the kind of vibes, this is the feel for one of the characters' apartments. You get to do this kind of stuff and you can choose the tool that's most useful for you, for your mood board, but one way or another, gather it together. Okay, audio, these are the tools I'm using for audio. Marika, I'm going to be talking about more. Soundstripe is a traditional kind of audio library. 11 Labs for sound effects. I also get to do all the voiceovers because I can, at least as far as I can. I get to do the audiobook, which is way overdue. And so once you've got the mood board for your visuals and the audio, which is also where you gather together a lot of the tone and feel for the audio of your movie and your project, then everything starts to go into an asset library. Asset library is what you're going to need to build everything else from. So if we look, for example, Midjourney is probably my single most used asset library. It has terrific organization tools, which means that if you these are all images that I previously liked for one reason or another, and then you can create folders. So Captain Wishybloke Daisy, this is my reference library for the character of Daisy. I've started it for my character of Ben, and you need to go through that with costumes, well, everything else that matters, costumes, props. This, when you are starting to create stuff, find a way of organizing it. For me, Midjourney is probably the most obvious place. By the way, once you have created your asset library with all of your sounds and your reference images and everything that you're going to use to build outwards from there, then eventually you head to a storyboard. And by the way, Krea, I'm going to start using that, I think, because it gives me access to several different video production tools, AI video tools, and that keeps it simple. It's one platform. Dzine is very important. I'm going to make a video about that. You'll see this thing for any narrative filmmaker is likely to be a backbone tool. When you figure out how useful it is for character consistency, for scene consistency, for location, position consistency. They're doing some exciting things because consistency and continuity is their quest. So Dzine, watch out for that. Storyboard here. So once you've got your asset library of all of your basic things, and this isn't everything, by the way, you'll go backwards and forwards between these two. But this is where you start off with the reference images for the characters and the costumes and the vehicles. Then you need to start putting all those together and building your story. Katalist is my tool of choice for this. Katalist is a terrific storyboarding tool, but it also allows you to import other assets in there. So you can build your storyboard with the tool that they have, but you can improve on the images with images that you've created externally and put those in place. So you could start off with something like this, which is your black and white sketchboard. You can build up a scene this way with your shots that have that kind of rough and ready image, and you can then go back and replace them. But Katalist, that's where you'll build your story, that's where you build your project, and ultimately what you're looking to do is then create your demo movie and your premise trailer so that you can add it with your script, take it to a micro production company who's creating AI movies like AI Studios, get your movie made.